6,280 pounds. Little Springdale 262 couples camping rear kitchen coming in on trade here at Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan. Folks took care of it. It took care of them, as Springdales typically did. Well-built series of trailers. These folks, man, this was kind of their starter camper, and then they went way to the top. You could say they went to the pinnacle of RVing with the new Jayco pinnacle. And I'm pretty sure that's as good as my jokes are going to get today, which is not saying much. And despite being used by the previous owners a fair amount, this thing shows a remarkable lack of, like, roughage, wear, tear, signature, you know, things like that. It looks pretty darn good. I love the window coverage in this one too. You've got all these big windows over here. The dual breeze windows for the kitchen is a nice touch. Really helps open up that rear corner. But you also have this like giant campside window over here, really letting in a flood of light and airflow. Now, real quick note, this is a couples camper, but if we pop this open and take a look down here, you can see that it actually is a really good model for guests. You can easily sleep 4 adults in here with 2 on the master bed, 1 on the dinette, 1 on the sleeper sofa, but it would not be too much of a stretch to put at least a second person on that sofa. Potentially, if they're smaller people, or if they're just really close, maybe still in that honeymoon phase, you could maybe put a pair of people on this 7-foot long dinette. And that's what's cool about this one. This is good for not just grandkid guests, but, you know, like anybody. Now, it's got a conventional 6.5-foot sidewall, but they do put a vaulted roof in here, which is something Springdale was pretty exclusive in this class doing when this was built. I don't believe there's anyone else who was doing it. And it gives it kind of a feel more like a Cougar, you know, that bigger, more open vaulted ceiling. Pardon me. Literally choked on thin air. Alright, I think I'm good. I think I can fight through the rest of it. Thank you for bearing with us. Anyway, up top here, we've got our central air unit. And, what was I going to say about that? Oh, has the cold air dump. Sorry, I really got myself messed up. That's what this is. With these vents left open, about half of your air will just drop right here. But if you close that, then your air will cycle through the central air system through the rest of the RV. Now, kind of starting down here, if we crack open that dinette end, you can see there was that handy kind of pull-out wire rack thing right there. And that's something the previous owners must have added for some storage solutions. You see decent drawer space, decent overhead cabinet space in here. And actually, cabinetry construction is something I always really respected Springdale on. If there's one thing we never had problems with on a Springdale when we carried them, it was, well, really, it was pretty much any construction issue. This is a brand that was maybe never the flashiest or fanciest or something like that, but built, like put together right. And on paper, not really built any different than anything else out there. It's just that in practice, they didn't fall apart. The engineering that went into these, obviously effective, got the job done. I like the larger handle the folks put on the screen door here, so you can pull that shut without it. People, especially guests, they're inclined to grab this to close the screen door, and this thing really helps eliminate that. Now, it doesn't have a central command center per se, but it does have all your switches and everything right here by the door, including this handy little touchscreen guy. Let's see if it's still it's still the default 4 zeros. It always is. But you can control your awning, slides, your stabilizer jacks right off this thing. If I can get my thumbs to work, there we go. You know, front rear stabilizers. So power jacks, power awning, all kinds of good stuff right there. We already talked about that big window just for camera purposes. I generally do need to keep those shut. The camera doesn't like it when I point directly at windows. I do want to note the little niche of overhead storage above that. But again, just to like the detail, making that little radius edge right there so you don't have a little, you know, shoulder jabber if you stand up or something like that, or if you're, I don't know, leaning over the sofa. I don't know. Anyway, you get the idea. So with that being a big hide-a-bed, that is a bigger plush seat. It's just a lot more comfortable to sit on. Now you notice the dual entry doors, but notice how they both basically go into the living room. Even with the slide closed, this one remains fully travel accessible. You can always walk right through here. There's, let's see, what do we lose in transit? The slide will cover those cabinets, the TV, and those cabinets. That's it. Everything else remains in transit, and I think that basically qualifies for 100% turtle-friendly, travel accessible, and I just ran into the refrigerator behind me. Sorry if the camera lurched there. I tell you guys, it's not easy walking backwards, looking at a camper, trying to make sure the viewfinder's pointing at something. There's a lot going on here, and I'm not always the best at it. I try. I endeavor to persevere. Love the little things, too, like you got the triple Drunken Octopus coat hanger right over there on that angle wall. I love how they angled that back. It just helps the whole camper look and feel a little more open. The TV is on a swing arm mount, by the way. So if you don't want to have a 90-degree neck wrecker TV, you can pivot that around for easier viewing. Bluetooth DVD below that. And we kind of peeked at half of the dinette earlier, but let's pop that all open. You see the dual wire rack drawers the folks put in there, and the like floating dining table right there, that elliptical base table. Very cool if you want to use that in front of the sofa as a dinofa. And frankly, you can take it outside for picnic time. Now this over here doesn't have storage inside it. This is actually where our converter box is located, but I like having that stand right next to the sofa. I think that's a very underrated feature right there, especially with household and USB plugs so close by. Oh, they put the handles on both doors. I just noticed that. Dual entry bed and bath. So if you do have a guest, everybody can get into and out of the bathroom at night without disturbing one another, which is kind of a cool thing. The vaulted ceiling and that skylight will make this very tall person friendly as well. Sliding privacy door there for that second door. And then behind door number 3, I guess we call it, we get to our master bedroom. Simple, but effective. Nothing's too over the top here. There is storage, of course, below the bed. You see that dresser drawer and side stand that's very CPAP friendly over there. Naturally, directly across from us here, you see our TV hookups. So if you wanted to, you could install a TV on this wall. Obviously, previous owners never did anything of the sort. Full overhead cabinet storage. And I purposely wanted to crack this open so I could hear the difference a little bit, because if you look up in there, you can see where the previous owners do have, let me get you up in there, there you go, like a Max Air vent cover up here on the ceiling. Not the ceiling, the roof. There's a relationship between a ceiling and a roof, but they're certainly not interchangeable now, are they? Now, another cool note, below that dresser drawer, let me get us over here. Little laundry chute. Now, that's not the reason to buy a Springdale, obviously, but I like how it's kind of invisible if you don't want it there. You could make it more so you could remove the handle if you want and just grab the little carpeting, but it gives you a place to put yesterday's clothes today. One other thing I noticed, I spotted these little lights on either side of the bed. I think they're hung up with command strips. I see some command strips through the camper. Command strips are like the best thing to happen in campers in a long, long time. And I think they're supposed to work off this controller right here. But Saint doing nothing. This Saint doing nothing. And as we know, Saint doing nothing is the patron saint of procrastinators. So a couple interesting things on this one. This is like everything is power. You've got power awning, power 4-corner stabilizer jacks, power tongue jack. So at a glance, it's easy to look at this and call it a simple series like entry-level camper, but it's actually got some really nice equipment. If this had fiberglass skin, if it had a laminated structure, people go, ooh, this is really, really sharp. So, you know, it's kind of a case of it's easy to misjudge this book by its cover, if that makes any sense. Now, up front here, quick housekeeping note. You see that the previous owner's centerline hitching system is still on here. I do not believe that will be with this RV when you come to collect it yourself. It just simply hasn't been removed yet. If you watch our videos here at Haylett RV, you know I actually move pretty darn fast, and as soon as something comes in, I'm out here with the camera, and sometimes there's some housekeeping items that just haven't taken place yet, so I want to make you aware. You can see the tinted windows, keeping the sunshine out. Now, the cool thing about these windows is it's very much like that big old tree in my neighbor's backyard. Now, when I'm in that tree, she can't see me, but I can sure see out of that tree. But we settled out of court, so don't worry about all that. Black tank flush, as well as a full outside utility shower. And I like the location of these right next to our sewer hookups. You notice how the electrical and the water stuff is separated on this. Some people get really freaked out about that. It's actually not a big deal on an RV, because if you think about it, if the RV's plugged in and it's outside and it's raining, nothing bad's gonna happen, but it does seem weird just because we know that water and electricity doesn't mix. Underbelly is enclosed. It is forced air heated. This has a 30,000 BTU furnace, which is pretty darn good for this class of RV. The slide sides, let me get you over here around the back of it. The slide sides have this really rough texture, and it's so that it grabs these wiper seals, of which there are 2 wiper seals plus a bulb seal like this one right here, so that when the RV's slide is fully retracted or extended, it will have good contact there and always have 3 points of seal contact, which is pretty darn handy. But those seal gripping slide walls will help make sure that those seals are doing their job and, you know, being gripped accordingly. The, let's see here, spare tire doesn't look like it's ever seen the light of day. 3/8 fully walkable roof deck and slide roof construction, actually, which I have come to learn in the last 4 or 5 years is far more common than you would realize. And it's just weird that nobody seems to talk about it. This also has a 5/8 floor decking, basically the exact same method of floor construction as something like a big Montana or Cougar you might find here at Haylett RV. Just doesn't happen to have aluminum studs in the floor. That's just about it. And I see the awning on this. It's huge, and it easily covers both the doors. I like how they put all the little windows over here on the campsite wherever they could. You know, it's a tricky floor plan to go window crazy, but I think they did as good as they could have. The steps. This was made before those stable steps were just all over the place, so you have these aluminum plank steps here. Now, the trick is, I don't know if this door is wide enough to accept something like, say, one of those LCI stable steps. It's close. It's possible that a small set of those could be applied here. But these aluminum plank steps, they're basically like boat dock, you know, planks. So if your shoes are wet in the morning, you don't tend to slip slide around, which is nice. Outside TV hookups, and I believe that interior TV can actually dismount and remount out here if you're so inclined. I know that was a thing Springdale did for a number of years while we carried them. And this is another one of those things, it's more like a laminated RV feature here at a more basic class and price point. And that is the wide stance stability axle system. The wheels and tires look good, by the way, too. So what that's doing for us there is when the tires are spread further apart, it enhances the RV's towing stability. And if you think about it, it's kind of like if you stand in one place with your feet spread apart instead of your feet standing in one spot. It makes a heck of a difference, and it really will enhance the towing of this RV in a classification that isn't known for great towing campers. So if you like what you see here, if you're looking for a nice little couples camper to either get started or, you know, do some retiring in, I think it checks all the boxes and everything looks pretty good. So give us a call at Haylett RV. We do it all. Hitching, pieces, parts, trades, finance, RV delivery, and everything in between. Take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy Haylett camping, everyone.